My God, I feel something stirring already. Ladies and gentlemen, I came here today to speak life into somebody's spirit. I came to pull the covers back on a truth the world has tried to ignore. Because we've been taught that if a woman is quiet, if she's not loud, not clapping back, not defending herself, then she must be weak. But the devil is a liar. A woman who stays silent is not silent because she lacks power. No. She's silent because she knows her power. She's dangerous because her silence is not empty, it is strategic. Her silence is not weakness, it is warfare. Her quiet is not retreat, it's reloading. You see, people fear what they cannot read. When a woman refuses to explain herself, when she doesn't hand over her pain for public consumption, when she lets God speak on her behalf. That's not submission to people, that's submission to purpose. So if you've ever been misunderstood, if you've ever chosen peace over proving your point, if you've ever closed your mouth to protect your mission, then this message is for you. Because today, I didn't come to entertain you. I came to wake you up. I came to shine a light on the kind of woman hell is nervous about. A woman who may not say much, but when she moves, everything shakes. Touch 3 people and tell M. She's not weak, she's dangerous. Silence is often mistaken for surrender. Society looks at a quiet woman and assumes she is weak, that she lacks the courage to stand up, speak up, or fight back. But that assumption is rooted in ignorance, not insight, because the kind of silence we're talking about today is not born out of fear. It's born out of wisdom. It's the silence of someone who understands the value of conserving energy. It's the silence of someone who knows that not every battle is worth her breath and not every response deserves her voice. This kind of silence is not passive, it's powerful. It's the calm before the storm. It's the stillness of a strategist who's not playing checkers, but chess. She is watching, she is listening, she is learning. While others are talking, she is planning. A woman who is silent by choice is a woman who has learned the discipline of self-control. She is not moved by the chaos around her. She does not waste her words trying to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding her. She does not argue with fools or dance for applause. Her silence is a statement. It says, I know who I am. I don't need to prove it to you. That's what makes her dangerous, because silence in the hands of a wise woman is a weapon. She doesn't lash out, she levels up. She doesn't retaliate, she refocuses. Her quiet is not retreat, it's realignment. It's strategy at its finest. While others exhaust themselves trying to be seen and heard, she is preparing for impact. In a world addicted to noise and validation, a silent woman is unsettling. She makes people nervous because they can't figure her out. She doesn't tell them her next move. She doesn't show her cards. She operates in the shadows, and when she finally steps forward, it's not to explain, it's to execute. That's the kind of woman the enemy fears, not the loud one, not the flashy one, but the quiet one with a fire in her belly and a vision in her mind. Because when she moves, she doesn't miss. Her silence has been working for her all along. And when she speaks, if she speaks, you better believe the atmosphere is going to shift. quiet woman carries storms inside her, not because she is broken, but because she is built different. She has weathered things most people will never know about. She has stood in the eye of emotional hurricanes, survived betrayals, disappointments, heartbreaks, and held it all together with a smile on her face and strength in her silence. You look at her and see peace, but what you don't see are the battles she fights behind closed doors. She doesn't broadcast her pain. She doesn't beg for sympathy because she has learned how to be her own shelter in the storm. Stillness you see on the outside, that's the discipline of a woman who refuses to let the world shake what God is stabilizing in her soul. She carries storms because she has had to. There were seasons when she couldn't fall apart because too many people were depending on her. Times when she had to be strong for everyone else, even when she was crumbling inside. But instead of letting that break her, it built her. It made her resilient, made her wise. The storm taught her how to bend without breaking, how to stand without shouting, how to cry in private and still show up in public like nothing touched her. She walks with a quiet kind of strength that doesn't need applause. Her wounds became her wisdom. Her silence became her sanctuary. And that storm inside, it's no longer a threat. It's a reminder of everything she's conquered. People don't understand her silence because they've never had to carry what she carries. They don't see the prayers she prays when the house is dark and everyone else is asleep. They don't hear the conversations she has with God while folding laundry, driving to work, holding back tears in the middle of a meeting. They don't know how hard it is to keep smiling when grief, anger, or exhaustion are pressing against her ribs. But she does it, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. And the more she carries, the quieter she gets, not because she's numb, but because she's found power in restraint. She doesn't talk much about what she's been through because if she ever unleashed it, the flood would drown everything in its path. That's why her silence isn't softness. It's suppression of something fierce, something untamed, something sacred. She is not silent because she's weak. She is silent because the storm inside her has taught her that timing is everything. When she chooses to release what she carries, not in anger, but in purpose, heaven and earth will feel it. Discernment teaches a woman when to speak and when to stay still. It's not that she doesn't have something to say. Oh, she has plenty to say, but she has learned that wisdom doesn't always speak even when it knows. She has been through enough to realize that timing is just as important as truth. Just because she sees it, just because she feels it, just because she knows it, doesn't mean she always has to say it. The Holy Spirit has taught her how to pause, how to hold her peace, how to resist the urge to clap back, because she understands that every reaction has a cost and not every battle is hers to fight. She has outgrown the need to prove her point to people who are committed to misunderstanding her. Her silence is not submission to people, it's submission to purpose. It's not that she doesn't notice the shade, the slander, the sabotage. She sees it all. She hears more than she lets on. But she's not moved by noise anymore. She's moved by assignment. She's not driven by ego, she's guided by discernment. She's tapped into a frequency that's higher than gossip and louder than insecurity. And sometimes the loudest statement she can make is not saying anything at all. Discernment keeps her from wasting words on ears that aren't ready to hear. It helps her recognize the difference between a divine conversation and a distraction. She doesn't need to respond to every accusation, every insult, or every opportunity. She's learned that her energy is sacred and her voice is valuable, so she saves it for what matters. She's not mute, she's measured. Her silence is not a void, it's a filter, and the filter is wisdom. The filter is God. The filter is the recognition that some moments require stillness, not speeches. There was a time when she would have defended herself, explained herself, argued her case. But now, she lets peace be her rebuttal. She lets fruit be her proof. She lets God be her vindicator. She has no need to yell from the rooftops when her character can whisper louder than any accusation. Discernment has matured her. It's shaped her. It's refined her. She has learned how to choose her words like a warrior selects her weapons. Carefully, strategically, and only when necessary. The world may call her quiet, but heaven calls her wise. Because when she speaks, she doesn't just make noise, she releases revelation. And when she is silent, she is still speaking, but in a different language, the language of restraint, the language of power, the language of trust. She has discovered that silence isn't empty. It's full of divine direction, and that is what makes her dangerous. Her silence protects her peace, her purpose, and her power. She doesn't stay quiet because she has nothing to say. She stays quiet because she has too much to lose. Peace is her priority now. After all she's been through, after the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the disappointments, the years spent trying to be everything to everyone, she has finally learned to guard what matters most. And sometimes that means saying nothing, even when everything in her wants to speak. It takes strength to hold your tongue when your pride wants to fight. It takes wisdom to walk away when your emotions want to explode. She has learned that silence can be a form of self-preservation, not punishment. She used to think she had to explain herself to everyone, that she had to be loud to be heard, had to defend her choices to people who didn't even care to understand her. But now she knows better. She knows that her peace is too precious to put on the altar of other people's opinions. She no longer feels obligated to respond to every voice that calls her name. Some battles are beneath her. Some conversations are traps in disguise. And some arguments aren't about truth, they're about ego. So she doesn't engage, not because she's afraid, but because she's evolved. She protects her peace like a warrior protects her territory, firmly, fiercely, without apology. Her purpose demands focus, and focus requires silence. She understands that noise is the enemy of clarity. So while others are distracted by drama and drained by chaos, she is building, praying, studying, healing, creating. She's not talking about what she's going to do. She's doing it. Her silence is the sound of discipline. It's the evidence of a woman who's too busy walking in purpose to waste time seeking approval. She doesn't need to make an announcement every time she levels up. She lets her fruit speak for her. Because when a woman is truly walking in alignment, she doesn't have to prove her power. It radiates from her presence. She also protects her power by refusing to give it away through emotional reactions. She knows that when she gets pulled into petty fights and pointless debates, she's spending strength she could be saving. Her silence is not submission to people, it's submission to her higher calling. She chooses when to speak, where to show up, and how to respond. And because she doesn't speak often, when she does, people listen. Her words carry weight because they are rare. Her presence demands respect because it is intentional, and her power is protected, paraded. Hell doesn't tremble over the loudest woman in the room. It trembles over the one who listens more than she reacts. The one who knows how to observe without being obvious, how to discern without making declarations. Because when a woman listens, she gathers information, she collects wisdom, she hears what's being said and what's not being said. While others are busy performing, she is perceiving. She's not moved by emotion alone, she's guided by insight. Her silence becomes a sanctuary where she sorts truth from lies, facts from fiction, divine whispers from worldly noise. In that stillness, she becomes spiritually dangerous. She listens not just with her ears, but with her spirit. She listens to what God is saying in the background of chaos. She listens to patterns of people's behavior, not just their words. She listens to her intuition, that inner knowing that's been sharpened by trials, heartbreak, and long nights of prayer. Because she listens first, she speaks last. And when she speaks, her words have the precision of a scalpel. She's not impulsive, she's intentional. Her restraint is not weakness, it's warfare. It's how she disarms her enemies and protects her destiny. She doesn't explode, she exposes. She doesn't react, she reveals. Her silence is not passive, it's preparation. Hell fears her not because she's loud, but because she's lethal. And what makes her lethal is her discipline. She's the kind of woman who can sit in a room full of chaos and still hear the voice of God. The kind of woman who can stand in the middle of a storm and stay rooted in truth. She doesn't speak to be seen, she speaks to shift things. Her listening posture confuses the enemy because he expects her to panic, to lash out, to crumble. But she does none of that. She listens, she waits, she prays. And when the time is right, she strikes, not out of rage, but out of revelation. People underestimate the power of a woman who is quiet. But quietness does not mean absence. It means alignment. She is aligned with her source, and that alignment makes her unstoppable, because when a woman listens more than she reacts, she's not just wise, she's walking in authority. She doesn't just survive, she outmaneuvers. And that kind of woman, that's the kind of woman the enemy can't track. That's the kind of woman the kingdom can trust. And that's why hell backs up every time she walks into a room, not because she's loud, but because her silence has already spoken.